Chapter 1. Opening Relaxation. Breathing with the Lagoon. Let us begin very gently by letting everything else fall away. There is no need to hold on to anything right now. No need to remember what came before this moment or to plan for what comes after. You are here, and that is enough. You are safe, and that is all that matters. Take a breath if you'd like. Not a deep one, not a purposeful one, just the breath that comes naturally. The way a small wave rises and falls against the stone steps of Venice, over and over, without effort, without thought. Breathe in and imagine the cool morning air drifting across a lagoon. Breathe out and imagine that same air settling, softly, like mist on still water. There is a city, far away and also very close, where time moves differently, where the hours are not rushed, but rung, gently, beautifully, by bells that have sounded for centuries. This city rises from the water, and the water holds it up, the way a soft blanket holds warmth. The city is Venice, and it is waiting for you, just as it waits for the dawn. You do not need to travel there. You are already arriving. Imagine now that you are standing on a smooth stone bridge, so old that its edges have been worn round by the touch of countless hands. The stone is cool beneath your feet, but not cold. It feels solid, dependable, like something that has always been there and always will be. Beneath the bridge, water moves, so slowly you can barely see it. Dark green, deep blue, touched here and there by the golden reflection of a lantern that has not yet been put out. The water does not rush. It breathes, the way you are breathing now. Above you, the sky is soft. Not quite night, not quite morning. The color of lavender petals steeped in milk. The stars are fading one by one, but they do not hurry. They simply let go, gently, as the sky begins to remember the sun. And somewhere, not far away, the bells are sleeping. They hang in the tall tower of San Marco, those ancient bells. They are made of bronze, heavy and holy, and they have rung out over this city for longer than anyone can remember. But right now, in this quiet hour before the dawn, they are silent. They are resting, just as you are resting now. You do not need to do anything. You do not need to go anywhere. You are held just as Venice is held by the water. You are safe, just as the bells are safe in their tower. Breathe again, slowly. The mist rises from the lagoon, soft and white, and it drifts through the narrow streets. It touches the doorways of small shops. It curls around the iron railings of balconies. It moves like a whisper, like a lullaby, and it brings with it the smell of salt and stone, and something sweet, something warm, like bread baking far away in an oven you cannot see but somehow know is there. This is where our story begins. Not with noise, not with hurry, but with breath, with mist, with the gentle, patient turning of the world from dark to light. And in this soft, in-between time, four small friends are waking. They are made of yarn, soft, crocheted, stitched with care and love. Their bodies are small and round, their limbs short and gentle. They have button eyes that shine like little moons, and their faces are calm, always calm, no matter what they see. There is Peach the bunny, whose fur is the color of a sunset cloud, soft coral, pale pink, warm as a sigh. Her ears are long and floppy, and she moves slowly, thoughtfully, as if every step is a small prayer. There is Biscuit the bear, golden brown like honey poured over toast, with a little stitched nose and paws that rest always in a way that says, "You are safe here." There is Mittens the cat, soft gray with white paws, whose tail curls in a perfect question mark. She notices everything, but she never rushes to speak. She simply sees and remembers and smiles. And there is Sunny the duck, bright yellow as a buttercup, with a tiny orange beak and wings that flutter only when she is very, very happy. She hums sometimes, softly, a tune with no words, just warmth. These four friends live together in a small, cozy apartment overlooking a quiet canal. The walls are painted a soft, faded blue. The shutters are wooden and warm, and the windows are always open just a little, so the breeze can come in and say hello. This morning, as the sky begins to glow with the softest gold, the four friends are sitting together on the wide stone windowsill, looking out over the water. They do not speak yet. There is no need. They simply watch as the mist lifts, as the light grows, as the city begins, very gently, very slowly, to wake. And then, from far away, comes the first sound, a single bell, low, deep, bronze, and beautiful. It does not startle. It does not demand. It simply is. The sound rolls out over the rooftops, over the canals, over the sleeping gondolas tied to their posts. It touches everything, softly like a hand on a shoulder that says, "Good morning, it is time." But there is no rush. The friends look at each other, and they smile. Peach tilts her head, listening. Biscuit places one paw over his heart. Mittens closes her eyes, just for a moment, letting the sound wash over her. And Sunny flutters her wings, just once, very gently. The bell rings again, and again, 5 times, 6, 7, and with each ring, the world becomes a little more awake, a little more alive, but never loud, never harsh, just present. This is the heartbeat of Venice. This is the rhythm the friends have come to love. And today, they have decided something, something quiet, something kind. They are going to help the bells. Not because the bells are broken, not because anything is wrong, but because they have noticed over many mornings that the ropes that ring the bells are old. So old that they have grown thin in places, worn by centuries of hands pulling them morning and evening, day after day. And the friends have thought, what if we could crochet something soft to wrap around those ropes? Something to protect them, to warm them, to make the pulling a little gentler for the hands that ring the bells. And perhaps, just perhaps, to make the sound of the bells a little warmer too, not quieter, not muted, just softer, rounder, like a voice that has learned to speak with love. But there is no hurry. First, they will walk through the city. They will visit the places they love. They will breathe in the morning, the mist, the light. They will let the day unfold the way it wants to unfold, slowly, like a flower opening. And so, as the bells finish their morning song, The four friends climb down from the windowsill, gather their little woven baskets, and step out into the streets of Venice. The stones are cool beneath their soft, crocheted feet. The air smells of water and coffee and something sweet. And the city, ancient and patient, welcomes them as it always does, with silence, with beauty, with time. Breathe again, now. Let your body sink a little deeper into wherever you are resting. There is no need to follow every word. Let them wash over you the way the light washes over the stones of Venice. You are safe, you are held, and the bells, for now, are quiet. Chapter 2. Morning in St. Mark's Square. The piazza before the world wakes. The streets of Venice are not like other streets. They do not rush in straight lines toward distant places. They do not widen into avenues or flatten into roads. They curve, they twist, they fold back on themselves like a ribbon someone has let fall, gently onto a table. They are called Kali, narrow, shadowed, intimate, and they lead you not by logic, but by feeling. Peach, Biscuit, Mittens, and Sunny walk these streets now, side by side, their small bodies moving in a rhythm that matches the lapping of water against stone. There is no hurry in their steps. There is no destination that cannot wait. They pass beneath archways so low that even they must duck their soft, round heads. They pass doorways painted deep red, shutters painted green, window boxes trailing ivy, and small white flowers whose names they do not know, but whose scent they breathe in, deeply, gratefully. A cat, a real cat, not crocheted, but living and warm, sits on a step, watching them with amber eyes. Mittens pauses, tilts her head. The cat blinks, slowly in greeting. Mittens blinks back. This is how cats speak to one another across all languages, across all worlds. I see you. You are safe here. They walk on. The air is still cool, touched by the memory of night, but the sun is beginning to warm the edges of things. The red-tiled rooftops glow softly. The iron balconies cast long, delicate shadows. The water in the canals reflects the sky, which is now the color of pearls, pale, luminous, holding both pink and blue and gold all at once, as if it cannot decide which it loves most. And then, after many turnings, many soft footsteps, the street opens, and they are there. St. Mark's Square, Piazza San Marco, the heart of Venice. But it is not as you might imagine it. There are no crowds here, not yet. No voices rising in a dozen languages. No tour guides holding umbrellas high. No street musicians playing violins for coins. All of that will come perhaps later in the day. But for now, for this small, holy hour just after dawn, the piazza is empty, completely, beautifully, impossibly empty. The four friends stop at the edge of the square and they simply stand, taking it in. The piazza is vast. It stretches out before them like a stone sea, smooth and gray and gleaming faintly in the early light. The paving stones are worn smooth by the feet of centuries. They fit together so perfectly that you can barely see the seams. It is as if the entire square were carved from a single piece of the earth, offered up to the sky, On three sides, the square is bordered by arcades, long, graceful colonnades with arches that repeat and repeat and repeat, like a song with no ending. Beneath the arches are small shops, cafes, doorways painted gold, but they are all still closed, shuttered, sleeping. And on the fourth side, rising up against the soft morning sky, is the Basilica, San Marco, St. Mark's. It is not tall, not in the way of modern buildings, but it is vast in presence. Its domes rise like soft hills, covered in lead that has turned green with age, the color of the sea in winter. Its facade is a miracle of detail, gold mosaics glittering even in the pale light, stone carvings so intricate they seem to breathe, arches layered upon arches like waves frozen in time. And above it all, standing on one corner of the roof, is a golden angel, holding a trumpet, turned toward the east, as if announcing the dawn to the heavens. The four friends stand very still, looking up. "It's so quiet," Sunny whispers, and it is. The piazza, so vast, so open, holds a silence that feels almost impossible. It is the silence of a cathedral, of a forest at midnight, of snow falling on a field where no one walks. Peach takes a small step forward, and her foot makes the softest sound against the stone. A tiny tap, almost nothing. But in this silence, it echoes, just a little, just enough to remind her that the square is not empty of sound. It is full of it. It is waiting. "I love it like this," Mitten says, very quietly, "before everyone else arrives, when it's just itself." Biscuit nods, his round face calm and content. "It feels like the city is letting us see something secret," he says, "something it doesn't show to everyone." And it does. It feels like a gift. They walk, very slowly, out into the center of the square. Above them, the sky continues to brighten. The pink is fading now, giving way to the softest blue, the blue of a robin's egg, the blue of a summer morning long ago. A few wisps of cloud drift past, so high and so thin they are almost translucent. And then they hear it, a soft sound, like breath, wings. From the far side of the square, a single dove descends. Its feathers are the color of fog, gray and white and soft. It lands on the stones, folds its wings, and tilts its head, looking at the four friends with one bright, curious eye. Then another dove lands, and another. Within moments, there are a dozen of them, 2 dozen, 50. They do not swarm or flurry. They simply arrive one by one, as if this is a ritual they have performed every morning since time began. They walk across the stones with a gentle, bobbing gait, their small feet making the faintest tapping sounds, like rain on a window. Peach crouches down slowly, extending one soft paw. A dove hops closer, unafraid. It coos, a low, round sound, warm as a lullaby. Peach smiles. "Good morning," she whispers. The dove coos again, as if answering. Sunny sits down on the stones, and several doves gather around her, pecking gently at invisible crumbs. She giggles, very softly. "They remember us," she says. "They remember everyone," Mitten says. settling beside her. They've been here longer than anyone. It is true. These doves have lived in St. Mark's Square for as long as Venice has stood. They have seen emperors and artists, merchants and mystics. They have watched the tides rise and fall, the bells ring and rest. They are, in their own quiet way, guardians of this place. Biscuit sits down too, letting his soft body rest against the cool stone. He looks up at the bell tower, the campanile, which rises beside the basilica like a tall, slender finger pointing toward heaven. It is made of red brick, faded to the color of rust and clay. At the very top is a small golden angel, spinning slowly in the breeze. And just below the angel, behind arched openings, the bells are hanging. The friends cannot see them from here, but they know they are there. 5 of them, each one different, each one with its own voice. They'll ring again soon, Biscuit says softly. For the hour. They ring all day, Peach says, and all night, marking the time, calling people to prayer, reminding the city that it is still here, still breathing. And the ropes, Mitten says, her voice thoughtful, have been there just as long. The friends fall quiet, thinking. They have seen the ropes, sometimes, through the arched openings of the tower. Long, thick, woven from hemp and cotton, hanging down into the dark interior where someone, some unseen bell ringer, pulls them faithfully hour after hour, day after day. And they have noticed, over time, how worn the ropes have become, how the fibers have frayed, how the hands that pull them must feel the roughness, the resistance. And they have thought, what if we could help? Not by replacing the ropes, no, that would be too much, too presumptuous, but by wrapping them gently in something soft, something crocheted with care, something that would protect the ropes and warm the hands that pull them and perhaps, soften the sound of the bells just a little. Not to silence them, but to give them a voice that is even gentler, even kinder than it already is. But that work will come later. For now, they simply sit, surrounded by doves, watching the light grow stronger, listening to the silence and waiting. And then, from high above, the first bell begins to ring. Low, deep, resonant, a sound that is felt as much as heard, vibrating through the stones, through the air, through the very bones of the earth. The doves do not scatter. They simply lift their heads, listening, as if the bell is speaking directly to them. Bong, 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 8 times. It is 8 o'clock. The sound rolls out over the square, over the water, over the sleeping city. It does not demand. It does not frighten. It simply says, here, now, this moment. And the friends close their eyes, letting the sound wash over them, through them, around them. When the last ring fades, the silence that follows is even deeper than before. Peach opens her eyes and looks at the others. Shall we go? She asks softly. They nod, slowly, carefully, so as not to disturb the doves. They stand. They brush the dust from their soft, crocheted bodies. They adjust their little baskets, which are woven from willow and lined with pale linen, and they begin to walk again, away from the square, back into the narrow streets, toward the places they love, toward the quiet, slow unfolding of the day. Behind them, the basilica glows in the morning light. Above them, the bells rest, waiting for the next hour to come. And the doves, faithful and patient, continue their soft, endless dance across the stones. Chapter 3. Mask Shopping, Colors Like Whispers, Silk Like Dreams. The street they turn into is so narrow that the sunlight cannot quite reach it. The buildings lean in close, their walls painted soft yellow and faded rose, their shutters half open, as if the houses themselves are still waking. The stones beneath the friends' feet are smooth and damp, cool even now, and the air smells faintly of old wood and lavender, and something sweet and dusty, like the inside of a very old book. They walk slowly, letting the street guide them. There is no map they are following, no plan. They trust the city to show them what they need to see. And then, rounding a corner, they find it. A small shop, tucked between a bakery and a doorway overgrown with jasmine. The shop has a single window, and in that window, dozens of masks are displayed, hanging from invisible threads, turning gently in the faint breeze, as if they are dancing in a dream. The friends stop, all at once, without speaking, because the masks are beautiful, not loud, not garish, not painted with harsh colors or glittering with too much gold. These are soft masks, quiet masks, made with care and patience and a kind of love that does not shout but whispers. Mittens is the first to step closer. She presses her small paws against the glass, her button eyes wide. "Look," she says softly. "Look at the colors." And the others look. One mask is the color of a dove, pale gray with the faintest shimmer of silver, as if it has been dipped in starlight. Around the eyes, tiny white feathers have been glued, so delicate they tremble with each breath of air. Another mask is deep Venetian red, the red of wine held up to candlelight, with tiny gold filigree at the edges, curling like vines, like the borders of an illuminated manuscript. A third is pale blue, the blue of a winter morning, the blue of forget-me-nots, with soft silk ribbons hanging from the sides, cream-colored, falling like rain. There is a mask shaped like the sun, with golden rays extending outward, each ray tipped with a small amber bead that catches the light. There is a mask shaped like a cat's face, whiskers painted in delicate black ink, eyes lined with the faintest copper. There is a mask that is nothing but lace, white lace so fine it looks like frost on a window pane, held together by thread you cannot see. "They're like paintings," Sunny says, her voice hushed. "But you wear them." "They're stories," Peach says quietly. "Each one is a story someone wanted to tell, without using words." Biscuit nods, his face thoughtful. "In Venice," he says, "masks have always been part of the language. People wore them at Carnevale, yes, but also just to be someone else for a while, to step outside of themselves, to play." "But these don't feel like playing," Mittens says. "They feel sacred." And she is right. There is something reverent about these something that speaks not of disguise, but of revealment, as if, by covering your face, you might somehow show the world who you truly are beneath. The door to the shop is open, just slightly. An iron bell hangs above it, silent for now. Peach looks at the others. "Shall we go in?" They nod. Very gently, Peach pushes the door open. The bell above rings, just once, very softly, a sound like a single drop of water falling into a still pond. Inside, the shop is small and dim and warm. The walls are lined with shelves, and on every shelf, more masks. Hundreds of them, perhaps thousands, though it is hard to tell in the low golden light. Some are hung on hooks, some are nestled in velvet-lined boxes, some are simply resting, side by side, as if they are sleeping. The floor is wooden, old and creaking, and it smells of beeswax and age. There is no one else here. No shopkeeper behind a counter, no other customers browsing. Just the masks and the silence and the light filtering through the dusty window. The friends step inside very carefully, and the door swings closed behind them with a soft sigh. For a long moment, they simply stand, looking around, taking it all in. And then, slowly, they begin to wander. Peach drifts toward a shelf where the masks are all made of paper, paper mache, layered and smoothed and painted with scenes from Venetian life. One shows a gondola gliding beneath a bridge. Another shows the outline of the basilica at sunset. A third shows only water, rippling, endless. She reaches up and touches one very gently. The surface is smooth beneath her soft paw, cool and slightly textured, like the skin of an eggshell. "They're so light," she whispers. "I thought they would be heavy." "They're meant to be worn," a voice says very quietly. The friends turn, and there, sitting in the corner of the shop on a small velvet stool, is a figure they had not noticed before. She is a fox. A real fox, not crocheted, but living. Her fur the color of autumn leaves, red and gold and soft. She is small, delicate, with bright black eyes and a nose that twitches just slightly as she watches them. She is wearing a mask herself, a simple one, white, covering only the upper half of her face, tied with a silk ribbon, the color of cream. She does not move from her stool. She simply smiles. "Welcome," she says. "Please look as long as you like. Touch anything. There is no hurry here." The friends relax, smiling back. "Thank you," Biscuit says. "Your shop is beautiful." The fox inclines her head. "It has been here a long time," she says. "Longer than I have. I simply take care of it now." "Did you make all of these?" Sunny asks, looking around in wonder. "Some," the fox says, "but many were made by others, artisans who have worked in Venice for generations. I collect them, care for them, and help them find the people they are meant to belong to." "Do masks belong to people?" Mittens asks, tilting her head. The fox considers this. "I think so," she says softly. "I think a mask knows its wearer, even before they meet. It waits, and when the right person comes, it lights up just a little." The friends are quiet, thinking about this. Peach moves to another shelf, where the masks are all trimmed with ribbon, silk ribbons in every color imaginable. Lavender and rose and deep forest green, burnt orange and dusty gold and the softest gray. Some ribbons are embroidered with tiny flowers, some are edged with lace. Some are so long they would trail down your back like a veil. She picks up a mask, pale pink, the color of the inside of a seashell, with ribbons, the color of honey. She holds it up to her face very gently and looks at herself in a small mirror propped on the shelf. The mask fits perfectly. The ribbons fall softly beside her long ears. She looks like someone else, and also exactly like herself. It suits you, the fox says from her stool. Peach smiles, then carefully sets the mask back down. It's beautiful, she says, but I don't think I need one. I just wanted to see. That is enough, the fox says. Seeing is its own kind of gift. Biscuit wanders toward the back of the shop, where the masks are darker, richer, deep blues and purples and blacks, trimmed with silver and gold. One mask, shaped like the face of a lion, has a mane made entirely of golden thread, stitched so finely it looks like real fur. He does not touch it. He simply admires it, the way you might admire a painting in a gallery, from a respectful distance. Sunny finds a shelf of masks clearly made for celebrations, bright yellows and pinks and sky blues, decorated with tiny bells that jingle softly when touched. She picks one up, a half mask covered in small iridescent sequins that shimmer like fish scales. She giggles very softly. This one is happy, she says. It is, the fox agrees. It was made for laughter. Mittens is drawn to a corner where the most delicate masks are kept. Masks made of lace, of feathers, of silk so thin you can see through it. She finds one that is nothing but tiny white flowers, stitched together with invisible thread, held in place by some kind of magic she cannot name. How do they stay together? She asks, marveling. Patience, the fox says simply, and belief. The friends continue to browse, touching gently, lifting carefully, admiring each mask as if it were a small miracle. And perhaps it is, because each mask, no matter how simple, has been made by hand. Someone cut the paper, someone mixed the paint, someone tied the ribbons, glued the feathers, stitched the lace. Someone sat late into the night, beneath a lamp, working with love and care, creating something beautiful, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And that, the friends think, is worth honoring. After a long, quiet time, they make their way back toward the front of the shop. The fox is still sitting on her stool, still wearing her simple white mask. She smiles at them. Did you find what you were looking for? She asks. Peach thinks about this. I'm not sure we were looking for anything, she says. But we found something anyway. And what was that? The fox asks. Peach glances at the others, then back at the fox. Beauty, she says softly. And care. Someone cared enough to make all of this. And that feels important. The fox's eyes shine behind her mask. Yes, she says, it is. The friends say their goodbyes, thank the fox, and step back out into the street. The sunlight is a little brighter now. The street is no longer empty. A small dog trots past. A bird lands on a windowsill. Somewhere a door opens and closes. But the feeling the friends carry with them is still soft, still quiet, still full of the gentle magic of the mask shop. They walk on, their baskets swinging gently at their sides, their hearts warm, their minds full of colors and ribbons, and the thought that beauty sometimes is simply about paying attention. And as they walk, the bells of San Marco ring again, just once, just lightly, as if the city is nodding in agreement. Chapter 4, Cafe Florian, where time tastes like chocolate. They find the cafe exactly where it has always been, on the south side of St. Mark's Square, tucked beneath the long arcade, beneath the arches that repeat like a heartbeat, steady, endless, ancient. The cafe is called Cafe Florian, and it has been here since 1720, longer than nations, longer than most names remembered in history books. It has watched Venice change and stay the same all at once. The friends pause at the entrance, looking up at the sign painted in faded gold letters. Below the name, smaller words are written. Dal, 1720, since 1720. That's a very long time, Sunny says softly. Time moves differently here, Peach says. I think the cafe knows that. The door is open, but only just. A small brass handle, polished smooth by centuries of hands, gleams in the soft morning light. Biscuit reaches up, turns the handle, and gently pushes the door open. A bell rings, small, silver, sweet, and they step inside. The interior of Cafe Florian is like stepping into a jewelry box. Every surface seems to glow. The walls are paneled in dark, polished wood, carved with delicate flourishes, flowers, vines, angels' wings. Mirrors are set into the walls, framed in gold, reflecting the light over and over, so that the small room seems larger, softer, as if it extends forever. The ceiling is painted with frescoes, faded now, but still beautiful. Cherubs with soft, round faces, clouds in pale blue and cream, a scattering of stars, gold leaf catching the light. Small round tables are scattered throughout the room, each one covered with a white linen cloth, each one topped with a single candle in a brass holder, each one surrounded by velvet chairs in deep red, the color of ripe plums. The floor is marble, black and white, laid in a checkered pattern that makes it feel like you are walking across a chessboard meant for angels. And from somewhere, very faintly comes music, not loud, not intrusive, just a thread of sound, violin, piano, something classical, something kind. It floats through the room like a scent, like a memory of something you heard once, long ago, and never quite forgot. The four friends stand very still, taking it all in. It's like a dream, Mittens whispers. It's like a painting, Peach adds. It's like home, Biscuit says quietly. That way home should feel. Safe, warm, known. A soft voice speaks from somewhere to their left. Good morning, little ones. Please come in. Sit wherever you like. They turn, and there, behind a small counter polished to a mirror shine, stands a figure. She is a hare, tall and elegant, with fur the color of old ivory, soft and smooth. She wears a simple black dress, very neat, very crisp, with a white apron tied around her waist. Her eyes are kind, her smile gentle. She gestures toward the tables with one long-fingered paw. There is no rush, she says. Time does not hurry here. The friends smile and make their way to a table near the window. The window looks out onto the piazza, but the glass is old, slightly warped, so the view outside seems softer, dreamier, as if it is not quite real. They settle into the chairs, Peach and Biscuit on one side, Mittens and Sunny on the other. The velvet is soft, so soft, and the table is just the right height. The hare approaches, carrying a small, leather-bound menu, which she sets gently on the table. "May I bring you something warm to drink?" she asks. "Coffee? Tea? Chocolate?" The friends look at each other. "Hot chocolate," Sunny says, her face brightening. "Please." "For everyone?" the hare asks, smiling. They nod. "Very good," she says. "And would you like pastries? I have cornetti this morning. Croissants, if you prefer the French, filled with cream, and small biscotti, and tarts with almond and honey." "Yes, please," Mitten says. "That sounds perfect." The hare inclines her head and glides away, silent despite the marble floor. The friends sit quietly for a moment, simply breathing, simply being. Outside, through the warped glass, they can see the piazza beginning to fill. A few figures move across the stones, people now, not just doves, but they are distant, quiet, moving slowly, as if they too feel the weight of the morning, the sacredness of this hour. The music continues, soft and endless, and then the hare returns, carrying a silver tray. On the tray are 4 small cups, each one white porcelain with a delicate gold rim. Each cup is filled with hot chocolate, not the thin, sweet kind, but the real kind. Thick and dark and rich, the kind that must be sipped slowly or not at all. Beside the cups, 4 small plates hold pastries, golden, flaky, dusted with powdered sugar that looks like snow. The hare sets everything on the table with the kind of care that feels like ceremony. "Please," she says, "enjoy." And she leaves them again, returning to her place behind the counter, where she stands, patient and watchful, as if she has all the time in the world. Peach lifts her cup with both paws. It is warm, almost hot, but not too much. She brings it to her face and breathes in. The smell is extraordinary. Chocolate, yes, but also something else. Cinnamon, maybe. Vanilla. A hint of orange. Something deeper, darker, older, like a secret kept for centuries. She takes a sip. The chocolate is thick on her tongue, smooth and velvety, and it fills her mouth with warmth, with comfort, with the feeling of being wrapped in a soft blanket on a cold night. It is sweet, but not too sweet. It is rich, but not heavy. It is exactly, perfectly, completely right. She closes her eyes and sighs. "Oh," she says softly, "oh, this is wonderful." The others sip their chocolate and they make the same sounds, small sighs, soft hums, the wordless language of contentment. Biscuit picks up a cornetto and takes a small bite. The pastry shatters gently, flakes drifting down onto his plate like golden leaves. Inside, the cream is soft and just barely sweet, flavored with something floral. Rose water, perhaps, or elderflower. "I could stay here forever," he says. "I think that's the idea," Mitten says, smiling. They eat slowly. There is no rush. There is no clock ticking, no appointment waiting, no place they need to be. There is only this table, this chocolate, this moment. Outside, the piazza continues to wake. The light grows stronger. The shadows shift. A gondolier walks past, carrying his long oar over one shoulder. A small child runs by, laughing, chasing a pigeon. Life is happening as it always does. But inside the cafe, time is different. Inside the cafe, it is still early. It is still quiet. It is still sacred. Sunny finishes her chocolate and leans back in her chair, her small wings folded neatly against her sides. "Why do you think this place has lasted so long?" she asks. 300 years, that's so much time. Peach considers this. "Because it doesn't try to be anything other than what it is," she says. "It doesn't rush. It doesn't change just to change. It simply stays. And people remember. And they come back. And it takes care of people," Biscuit adds. "Not just with food and drink, but with feeling. You come here and you feel held." Mittens nods. "It's like the masks," she says. "Someone cared enough to make this place beautiful, and to keep it beautiful. And that matters." They sit for a little while longer, watching the light move across the marble floor, listening to the music, letting the warmth of the chocolate settle into their small, soft bodies. And then, when it feels right, they stand. Peach leaves a few small coins on the table. Payment, yes, but also gratitude. They make their way to the door where the hare is waiting. "Thank you," Peach says. "For everything." The hare smiles. "You are always welcome," she says. "Come back whenever you need to remember that the world can be gentle." The friends step back out into the piazza, into the light, into the day. And as the door closes behind them, the small silver bell rings once more. Soft, sweet, final. Chapter 5, Gondola Ride. Water and silence, and the city breathing. They walk down to the water's edge, where the canal meets the wider expanse of the lagoon, and there, tied to a wooden post, worn smooth by decades of rope, is a gondola. It is black. Every gondola in Venice is black. It is the law, has been for centuries, so that no one gondola is more ornate than another, so that they are all, in their elegance, equal. But this gondola is not plain. Even in its simplicity, it is beautiful. The wood is polished to a deep shine, reflecting the water like a mirror. The metal fittings, the ferro at the prow, shaped like a blade and decorated with 6 prongs representing the 6 districts of Venice, gleam in the soft light. And at the stern of the gondola, resting his weight on the long oar, stands a figure. He is an otter, sleek and brown, with kind eyes and whiskers that twitch gently in the breeze. He wears a simple striped shirt, blue and white, the traditional uniform of gondoliers, and a straw hat tilted just slightly to keep the sun from his eyes. He smiles when he sees the friends approach. "Buongiorno," he says, his voice soft and warm. "Good morning. Would you like a ride?" The friends look at each other. "Yes," Peach says, "please, if it's not too much trouble." The otter laughs very gently. "Trouble? No, no. This is what I do. This is what I love. Come, come aboard." He extends one paw, helping each of them step carefully into the gondola. The boat rocks just slightly as they settle in, but it is not frightening. It is like being rocked in a cradle, like being held. There are cushions inside the gondola, soft, covered in faded red velvet. The friends arrange themselves along the length of the boat, sitting close together, their small bodies fitting perfectly into the curve of the wood. Sunny sits at the very front, her face turned toward the water. Mittens sits beside her, tail curled around her feet. Peach and Biscuit sit together in the middle, side by side, their paws resting on the edge of the boat. The otter unties the rope, pushes off from the post, and with one smooth, practiced motion, begins to row. The oar cuts through the water, silent, efficient, graceful, and the gondola begins to glide. At first, they move through the wider canal, where the water is green and deep, and the buildings on either side are tall, painted in shades of rose and ochre and pale yellow. The walls are ancient, stained by time and tide. Some of them are crumbling just slightly, bricks peeking through the plaster, vines trailing down to touch the water. But even in their decay, they are beautiful, because this is Venice. And Venice has always understood that age is not an ending, but a kind of deepening. The gondola moves slowly. There is no hurry. The otter rows with a rhythm that is almost hypnotic. Push, glide, steady as breathing, steady as a heartbeat. The water laps softly against the sides of the boat. Tap, tap, tap. It is the only sound. No one speaks. There is no need. They drift past a small dock where three other gondolas are tied, empty, rocking gently. They drift beneath a stone bridge, so low that they must duck their heads, and for a moment they are in shadow, cool and close, and then they emerge again into light. A window is open above them. From inside, the smell of coffee drifts down. Someone is baking bread. The air is full of warmth, full of home. They turn into a narrower canal. Here, the buildings lean in even closer. The walls are so near that Sunny could reach out and touch them. The water is darker here, almost black, reflecting the stone like ink. But it is not frightening. It is intimate. It is like being inside the body of the city itself, moving through its veins, feeling its pulse. A cat sits on a windowsill, watching them pass. It blinks, slowly in the way that cats do. Mittens blinks back. Above them, laundry hangs from balcony to balcony. White sheets, pale blue dresses, red scarves fluttering in the breeze. It looks like flags. It looks like celebration. The gondola glides on, and then they are somewhere even quieter. A place where the canal narrows to almost nothing, where the water is so still it looks like glass, where the light is green and gold and filtered through leaves growing from cracks in the stone. This, the friends think, is the secret Venice. The Venice no one photographs. The Venice that does not appear on postcards. This is the Venice that simply is. The otter rose without effort, his movements so smooth they seem like part of the water itself. Sunny leans forward, looking down into the canal. She can see her reflection, soft, yellow, small. And beyond her reflection, deeper down, she can see the stones that line the canal bed, covered in moss, covered in time. It's so deep, she whispers. Very deep, the otter says from behind them. Deeper than you might think. The city is built on wooden posts driven into the mud, thousands of them, millions maybe, all holding Venice up, keeping it from sinking. Does it ever sink? Mittens asks, her voice hushed. A little, the otter says, every year. But slowly, so slowly that most people don't notice. Venice is patient. It knows how to wait. The gondola drifts beneath another bridge, and another. Time passes, but it does not feel like passing. It feels like staying, like hovering, like being held in a single perfect moment that has no beginning and no end. Biscuit closes his eyes, letting the motion of the boat, the sound of the water, the warmth of the sun fill him. He feels safe. He feels held. He feels, for perhaps the first time in a long time, completely at peace. Peach watches the light move across the walls, the way it shifts and dances, reflected up from the water. It is like watching fire. It is like watching stars. And then, very softly, the otter begins to hum. It is not a song with words, just a melody. Something old, something passed down, something that belongs to Venice as much as the stones and the water and the bells. He hums, and the gondola glides, and the friends listen, and the city breathes. They do not know how long they are on the water. It could be 10 minutes. It could be an hour. It could be a lifetime. But eventually, gently, the gondola turns, and they begin to move back toward the wider canal, back toward the place where they started. The light is a little brighter now. The morning is a little older, but the feeling of being held, of being safe, of being part of something vast and gentle and endlessly patient, that feeling stays. The otter guides the gondola back to the wooden post, ties it carefully, and helps each friend step back onto the stone walkway. Grazie, Peach says. Thank you. Prego, the otter says, smiling. It was my pleasure. Come back any time. The friends wave, and the otter tips his hat, and the gondola rocks gently on the water, waiting for the next passengers, waiting for the next journey, waiting with the patience of something that has waited for centuries and will wait for centuries more. The friends walk on, their hearts full, their minds quiet, their bodies still swaying just slightly with the memory of the water's rhythm. And somewhere, high above, the bells begin to ring again. Chapter 6. Observing the bells, stone and rope and time itself. They find their way back to St. Mark's Square, drawn as if by some invisible thread. The square is busier now, but not crowded. A few people sit at the outdoor tables of the cafes, sipping espresso, reading newspapers. A violinist stands beneath one of the arches, playing a slow, sad melody that seems to match the heartbeat of the city. A pair of small dogs trot past, their owner trailing behind, unhurried. But the friends do not stop to watch. They have something else in mind now, something they have been thinking about all morning. The bells. They cross the piazza slowly, their small feet making no sound on the ancient stones, and they approach the campanile, the tall red brick bell tower that rises beside the basilica like a sentinel. The tower is old, so old that it has fallen once, completely collapsed in 1902, crumbling into dust and rubble, and then been rebuilt, brick by brick, exactly as it was before. Because Venice does not let go of what it loves. It rebuilds, it remembers, it holds on. The friends stand at the base of the tower, looking up. From this angle, the campanile seems impossibly tall. It rises straight and steady, narrowing only slightly as it climbs toward the sky. Near the top, just below the golden angel weather vane that spins slowly in the breeze, There are arched openings on all four sides, and behind those openings, hidden in shadow, the bells are hanging. The friends cannot see them clearly from here, but they know the bells are there. 5 of them, each one with its own name, its own voice, its own purpose. The marangona, the largest, which rings at the beginning and end of the workday. The malefico, which used to announce executions. The nona, which rings at noon. The trottiera, which once called the senators to council. And the mezza terza, the smallest, which rings for meetings of the magistrates. Each bell has hung in this tower for centuries. Each bell has watched the city change and stay the same and change again. And each bell is rung by hand. Even now, even today, someone climbs the stairs inside the tower, takes hold of the ropes, and pulls. The friends walk around the base of the tower looking for the entrance. They find it, a small wooden door, arched and heavy, set into the brick. It is not locked. Peach looks at the others. "Shall we?" she asks. They nod. She pushes the door open and they step inside. The interior of the campanile is cool and dim and smells of stone and old wood and something faintly metallic, bronze, maybe, from the bells. There is a narrow staircase spiraling upward, winding around the inside of the tower, climbing higher and higher and higher. The friends begin to climb. It is slow going. The steps are steep, and their legs are short, but they do not mind. They take their time, resting when they need to, pausing to catch their breath, looking out through the small windows set into the walls at intervals, glimpsing the city below as they rise. From one window, they see the red rooftop spreading out like a quilt. From another, they see the lagoon shimmering in the midday light. From another, they see the basilica's domes, close enough now that they could almost reach out and touch them. And still, they climb. Finally, after what feels like a long time, but also no time at all, they reach the top. The stairs open into a small room, the bell chamber, and here, at last, the friends can see the bells. They are massive. Even the smallest one is taller than any of the friends, and the largest, the marangona, is as big as a house hanging from a great wooden beam that has been blackened by age and weight and time. The bells are our bronze, green with patina, covered in carvings, inscriptions in Latin, images of saints, the dates they were cast. Some are from the 1500s, some are even older, and beneath each bell, hanging down through openings in the floor, are the ropes. The friends approach the ropes slowly, reverently. The ropes are thick, thicker than any rope they have ever seen. They are made of hemp and cotton, twisted together, rough and strong. But the friends can see, even from here, that the ropes are worn. In some places, the fibers have frayed, exposing the inner strands. In other places, the rope has been patched, wrapped with newer twine to keep it from breaking. There are places where the color has faded from years of sunlight, and places where the rope is darkened by sweat and oil from the hands that have pulled it. Mittens reaches out and touches one of the ropes very gently. It is rough beneath her paw, scratchy. She imagines what it must feel like to pull it, over and over, day after day, year after year, and she wonders if the hands of the bell ringers ever hurt, if they ever grow tired. They've been here so long, she says softly. As long as the bells, Peach says. Maybe longer. Biscuit walks around the largest bell, looking up at the way it hangs so perfectly still, waiting. They ring every hour, he says, and sometimes more. They call people to prayer. They mark the time. They remind the city that it's still here. But the ropes are so old, Sunny says, her voice filled with concern. What if they break? They won't, Peach says. Not yet, but they're tired. I can feel it. The friends are quiet for a moment, thinking. And then Mittens speaks. We should help them, she says. We should crochet wraps for the ropes, not to replace them, that would be too much, but to protect them, to make pulling them a little easier, to honor them. The others nod. And maybe, Peach adds, it would change the sound, just a little, make it warmer, softer, not quieter, never quieter, but kinder. Yes, Biscuit says, I think the bells would like that. Sunny flutters her wings, just once. When should we start? She asks. Soon, Peach says. But first, let's listen. Let's hear them ring one more time, just as they are. The friends move to the arched openings in the tower, looking out over the city, and they wait. The square below is small now, the people tiny. The canals are silver threads, the rooftops are a sea of red and gold. And beyond it all, the lagoon stretches out to the horizon, pale and endless. And then, from somewhere deep within the tower, there is a sound, a mechanism turning, a rope pulling, and the marangona begins to ring. The sound is enormous. It fills the tower, the air, the sky. It vibrates through the stones, through the friends' small bodies, through everything. Bong, bong, bong. It is not harsh. It is not painful. It is just vast, like the voice of the earth itself, like the first sound the world ever made. The friends close their eyes and let it wash over them, through them, around them. And when the ringing finally fades, when the last echo has drifted out over the water and disappeared, they open their eyes again, and they know what they must do. Chapter 7, Crocheting the Bell Wraps, Yarn and Patience and Love. They return to their small apartment as the afternoon light begins to soften, turning the canals to gold and the sky to a pale, luminous peach. The apartment is quiet. The windows are open, and a breeze moves through the rooms, carrying with it the smell of the sea, of jasmine, of bread baking somewhere nearby. The friends gather their supplies. They have yarn, so much yarn, collected over months, over years, from shops and markets and kind vendors who save the softest skeins for them. The yarn is kept in woven baskets, stacked neatly in a corner of the main room, organized by color, by texture, by weight. Peach kneels beside the baskets and begins to sort through them, lifting out hanks and skeins, holding them up to the light, feeling them between her soft paws. We need colors that match the bells, she says, colors that belong to Venice. Cream, Mitten suggests, like the stone of the buildings. Gold, Biscuit adds, like the mosaics in the basilica. And blue, Sunny says, the deep blue of the lagoon at twilight. Peach nods and begins to pull out the yarn they need, a skein of cream-colored wool, soft and thick, the color of fresh milk, a skein of gold, not bright, not garish, but a warm, aged gold, like sunlight filtered through honey, and a skein of deep blue, rich and dark, the blue of the sky just after the sun has set, but before the stars appear. She lays the yarn out on the wooden table in the center of the room, and the others gather around. We'll need to crochet them in sections, Peach says, long strips that can be wrapped around the ropes. They need to be thick enough to cushion, but soft enough to not interfere with the ringing. And they need to be beautiful, Mittens says quietly, because this is for the bells, and the bells deserve beauty. They do, Peach agrees. They each choose a color. Peach takes the cream, Biscuit takes the gold, Mittens takes the blue, and Sunny, who loves all colors equally, decides to work with a combination, striping the colors together, weaving them into something that looks like the city itself. They settle into their chairs, small and wooden and worn smooth by time. The chairs creak softly as the friends shift, getting comfortable, adjusting the yarn in their laps. And then they begin. The motion of crocheting is always the same. You hold the hook in one hand, small and silver and smooth. You hold the yarn in the other, letting it flow through your fingers, guiding it with just the right amount of tension. You insert the hook into a loop. You wrap the yarn around. You pull it through, again and again and again. It is repetitive. It is rhythmic. It is, in its way, a kind of meditation. Peach works slowly, methodically, her long ears drooping slightly as she concentrates. She is making a simple stitch, single crochet, row after row, because simplicity, she knows, is often the strongest. The cream yarn flows through her paws like water. Each stitch is even, neat, tight enough to hold but loose enough to be soft. She does not count the stitches. She does not measure the length. She simply works, trusting her hands, trusting the yarn, trusting that the right amount will reveal itself. Biscuit works beside her, his golden yarn glowing in the soft afternoon light. He hums as he crochets, a low, wordless tune that matches the rhythm of his hook. Loop, wrap, pull, loop, wrap, pull. His stitches are larger than Peach's, a little looser, a little more relaxed. His wrap will be thicker, warmer, meant to cushion and protect. Mittens, seated across the table, works with the blue yarn. She is the fastest of all of them, her paws moving with a kind of quiet precision, her hook flashing in and out of the stitches almost too quickly to see. But she's not rushing. She is simply confident. She has done this so many times that her hands know the way without her mind needing to guide them. And Sunny, perched on a cushion to give her a little more height, works with her striped yarn, cream, then gold, then blue, then cream again. She changes colors every few rows, weaving the ends in carefully, creating a pattern that looks like the sunrise over the lagoon, like the light moving across water. She works slowly, pausing often to admire what she has made, smiling to herself, humming along with Biscuit's tune. The room is filled with the soft sounds of their work, the click of hooks against wood, the whisper of yarn sliding through fingers, the occasional sigh of contentment. Outside, the light continues to change. The gold deepens to amber. The shadows grow longer. The canals darken to indigo. But inside, the friends do not notice. They are lost in the rhythm, in the motion, in the simple, profound joy of making something with their hands. Hours pass. The wraps grow longer. Peach's cream strip is now as long as she is tall, then longer. She holds it up, letting it drape across her lap, and she smiles. It is soft. It is strong. It is exactly right. Biscuit's golden wrap is thick and plush, like a scarf meant for the coldest winter. He tests it by wrapping it around his own paw, feeling the way it cushions, the way it warms. He nods, satisfied. Mittens' blue wrap is sleek and elegant, the stitches so tight and even that it looks almost like fabric, like something woven rather than crocheted. She runs her paw along it, feeling the texture, the weight, perfect. And Sunny's striped wrap is a patchwork of color and light, each row a little different from the last, each change of color a small celebration. It looks like joy. It looks like hope. I think we're almost done, Peach says softly. The others nod. They work a little longer, finishing the last few rows, fastening off the yarn, weaving in the ends so that nothing will unravel. And then, finally, they set their hooks down. The kiss. 4 wraps lie on the table, side by side, glowing in the lamplight. Cream, gold, blue, striped. They are beautiful. We'll bring them to the tower tomorrow, Peach says, at dawn, before the bells ring. And we'll wrap them carefully, Biscuit says, with respect. And we'll listen, Mittens adds, to hear if the sound changes. It will, Sunny says, her voice full of quiet confidence. I know it will. They sit together for a little while longer, simply looking at what they have made, feeling the satisfaction that comes not from finishing, but from caring. And then, when the sky outside is fully dark, when the stars have begun to appear, they fold the wraps carefully, tuck them into a basket lined with soft cloth, and carry the basket to the corner of the room where it will wait until morning. And then they go to their beds, small, soft, piled with blankets and pillows, and they sleep deeply and peacefully, dreaming of bells and yarn and the gentle, endless patience of the city they love. Chapter 8. The First Ring Afterward. A Sound Like Warmth. The friends wake before the dawn, not because they set an alarm, not because they are anxious, but because their bodies simply know, because they are ready, because this is the day. They rise quietly, without speaking, moving through the soft blue darkness of the apartment with the ease of long familiarity. They dress in their simplest clothes, little vests and scarves, not for warmth, but for comfort. They gather the basket with the crocheted wraps inside, and they step out into the streets of Venice. The city is still asleep. The canals are black and mirror still. The windows are dark. Even the doves have not yet woken. The only sound is the soft lap of water against stone, over and over. The heartbeat of the city that never truly stops. The friends walk through the narrow calle, their footsteps muffled, their breaths visible in the cool morning air. They do not speak. There is a kind of sacredness in this hour. a feeling that to speak would be to break something fragile and holy. They reach St. Mark's Square just as the first hint of light begins to touch the horizon. The square is empty, completely empty. Not even the doves are here yet. The basilica is dark, its domes barely visible against the sky. The arcades are shadowed, silent, and the campanile rises above them, waiting. The friends approach the tower and push open the small wooden door at its base. It swings inward with a creak that sounds impossibly loud in the silence. They step inside and begin to climb. The staircase is darker than they remember. No light comes through the small windows yet, but they do not falter. They know the way. They have climbed these stairs before. Up and up and up, their small legs working steadily, their breathing even, their hearts full of purpose. Finally, they reach the bell chamber. The bells hang as they did before, massive, ancient, patient. The ropes hang down through the openings in the floor, rough and worn, waiting. The friends set the basket down and carefully lift out the wraps they have made. Cream, gold, blue, striped. Peach takes the cream wrap and approaches the rope for the marangona, the largest bell. She looks up at the great bronze shape hanging above her, and she whispers very softly, "We're here to help. We hope this is all right." She begins to wrap the rope. She starts at the top, where the rope is tied to the beam, and she winds the crocheted strip around and around, overlapping slightly, pulling it snug but not too tight. The cream yarn is soft against the rough hemp, cushioning it, protecting it. She works slowly, carefully, with reverence. Biscuit wraps the Nona Bell's rope with the golden yarn. Mittens wraps the mezzoterza with the deep blue, and Sunny wraps the trottiera with her striped wrap, the colors spiraling downward like a ribbon in the wind. The work is quiet, meditative. Each wrap is secured with a few careful stitches, sewn in place so it will not slip, so it will hold fast even when the bells are rung. And as they work, the sky outside begins to lighten. First gray, then lavender, then the softest, palest gold. By the time they finish wrapping the ropes, the sun is just beginning to rise. The friends step back, looking at their work. The ropes, which had been so rough, so worn, are now covered in softness, covered in color, covered in care. "It's beautiful," Sunny whispers. "It is," Peach agrees. And then, from somewhere below, they hear footsteps. Someone is climbing the stairs. The friends freeze, unsure. They are not supposed to be here, perhaps. This is not their tower. These are not their bells. But it is too late to leave. The footsteps reach the top of the stairs, and a figure steps into the bell chamber. It is a small, elderly tortoise, wearing a long brown robe and a gentle expression. His shell is weathered, marked by time, and his eyes are kind. He looks at the friends. He looks at the wrapped ropes. He looks back at the friends, and then, very slowly, he smiles. "Ah," he says softly. "I wondered who had been visiting. I saw the door open this morning." "We're sorry," Peach says quickly. "We didn't mean to." The tortoise raises one wrinkled hand, stopping her. "No, no," he says. "Do not apologize. This is a gift." He walks slowly to the nearest rope, the one wrapped in cream, and runs his hand along it. His eyes close, and he smiles again. I have been ringing these bells for 40 years, he says, every day, every hour, and my hands have grown old. The rope is rough. Sometimes it hurts. He opens his eyes and looks at the friends. But now, he says, his voice full of wonder, it will not hurt. Now, it will be soft. The friends let out a breath they did not know they were holding. Will it change the sound? Mittens asks. We didn't want to make the bells quieter. We just wanted to help, the tortoise finishes. Yes, I understand, and no, it will not make them quieter. If anything, he trails off, thinking. Let us see, he says. He walks to the rope wrapped in cream, the rope for the marangona, and he takes hold of it. He pulls, and the great bell begins to swing, and it rings. The sound is different, not quieter, not softer, but rounder, warmer, where before the bell's voice had a slight sharpness, a brightness that could be almost harsh in the early morning. Now it is gentler, fuller, like the difference between a shout and a song. Bong! The sound rolls out over the city, over the water, over the sleeping rooftops, and it is beautiful. The tortoise stops pulling. The bell swings once more, twice, then stills. He turns to the friends, and his eyes are wet. Yes, he says softly. Yes, this is better. This is... this is kind. The friends look at each other, their faces glowing with relief and joy. We're so glad, Peach says. The tortoise nods. I will tell the others, he says. The other bell ringers. And we will thank you. Every day, when we pull the ropes, we will think of you. We will remember that someone cared. He walks to each of the wrapped ropes, touching them, admiring the colors, the stitches, the care that went into them. You have given Venice a gift, he says, and Venice does not forget. The friends do not know what to say. They simply stand, small and soft and full of something that feels like light. The tortoise bows, just slightly, just enough, and then he gestures toward the stairs. Come, he says, let us go down together. The city is waking, and the bells will ring again soon. The friends follow him down the long spiral staircase, down into the growing light, down into the day. And when they step out into St. Mark's Square, the sun is fully risen and the piazza is no longer empty. Doves have returned, hundreds of them, filling the square with soft coos and the sound of wings. A few shopkeepers are opening their shutters. A cafe is setting out tables. The violinist from yesterday has returned, tuning his instrument. Life is beginning again, as it does every morning, as it always has. And high above, in the tower, the bells are resting, wrapped now in softness, waiting for the next hour to come so they can sing again. Chapter 9. Evening and nightfall, when the city rests. The day unfolds gently after that. The friends wander through Venice with no particular destination, letting the city guide them. They stop at a small bakery and buy a loaf of bread, still warm, its crust golden and crackling. They sit on a bridge and break the bread into pieces, sharing it, eating slowly, watching the boats glide by beneath them. They visit a small bookshop, its shelves crammed with old volumes in Italian and Latin, and languages they do not recognize. The shopkeeper, a kind old heron, lets them browse for as long as they like, and Mittens finds a book of poems about the sea. She does not buy it. She does not need to own it. But she reads a few pages, standing in the filtered light, and the words settle into her heart like stones into still water. They walk along the edge of the lagoon, where the water meets the sky, and the horizon is a pale, blurred line. Sunny picks up small shells, smooth and white, and tucks them into her basket. She does not know what she will do with them yet, but they feel important. They feel like gifts. And as the day begins to turn toward evening, they make their way back towards St. Mark's Square one last time. The light is changing now. The harsh brightness of midday has softened into something gentler. The sun is low in the sky, casting long shadows across the piazza, turning the stones from gray to gold to amber. The square is busier now. People sit at the cafe tables, talking, laughing, sipping wine. Children run between the columns, chasing each other, their voices high and bright. The violinist is playing something lively, something that makes people smile as they pass. But there is no rush, no urgency. Even in the busyness, there is a kind of ease, a sense that everyone here understands that time is not something to be fought, but something to be savored. The friends find a spot near the edge of the square, in the shadow of the arcade, and they sit down, leaning against one of the stone columns. From here, they can see everything. The basilica glowing in the golden light, its dome soft and round against the sky. The campanile rising tall and steady, its bells wrapped now in care. The lagoon beyond, shimmering like a sheet of hammered bronze. And the people, so many people, moving through the square like water, like breath, like life itself. Peach leans her head against the column and closes her eyes, listening. The sound of footsteps on stone, the murmur of conversation, the distant cry of a gull, the soft, low hum of a gondolier singing as he rows through a nearby canal, and beneath it all, always, the water, lapping, breathing, constant. I love this place, she says softly. So do I, Biscuit says. It feels like home, Mittens adds. Even though we've only been here a little while, it feels like we've always been here. Maybe we have, Sunny says. Maybe Venice is the kind of place that holds you, even when you're far away. Maybe we've always been coming here, in some way, even before we arrived. The others consider this, and they think maybe Sunny is right, because Venice does not feel like a place you visit. It feels like a place you return to, again and again, across lifetimes, across dreams. The sun sinks lower, the shadows grow longer, the light turns from gold to rose to deep, dusky purple, and one by one, lanterns begin to glow. Small lanterns hanging from the archways, larger lanterns on the bridges, candles in the windows of the buildings surrounding the square. The city is lighting itself, gently, carefully, as if preparing for sleep. The friends stand and begin to walk back toward their apartment. The streets are quieter now. Most of the shops have closed. The cafes are emptying. The doves have settled into their roosts, tucked beneath eaves and behind shutters. Venice is exhaling. The friends walk slowly, their small feet making soft sounds on the stones. They pass a church with its doors open, and from inside comes the sound of singing. A choir, voices blending in harmony, something ancient and holy and beautiful. They pause, listening, and then they walk on. They pass a canal where a single gondola is moored, rocking gently, its gondolier sitting on the edge, smoking a pipe, staring out at the water with the expression of someone who has seen 1,000 sunsets and still finds them new. They pass a window where an old cat is sitting, watching them. Mittens waves. The cat blinks slowly once and then turns away. And finally, they reach their building. They climb the stairs to their apartment, so many stairs, but they do not mind. And they open the door and step inside. The apartment is dark, but they do not light the lamps yet. They go to the window and open it wide, letting in the night air, letting in the smell of water and stone and jasmine. And then, together, they sit on the wide windowsill just as they did this morning, and they look out over the city. The rooftops are dark shapes against the sky. The canals are ribbons of black, reflecting the stars that are beginning to appear. The buildings are outlined in golden light from the lanterns still burning, and from the campanile high above, the bells begin to ring. The evening bells, calling the city to rest, calling the day to a close. The sound is warm, round, gentle, changed just slightly by the raps the friends have made. The bells ring and the friends listen, and the city listens, and the water listens. And when the ringing fades, the silence that follows is not empty. It is full, full of peace, full of completion, full of the knowledge that everything, for now, is exactly as it should be. The friends do not speak. They simply sit, breathing, being, held by the night and the city and each other. And slowly, one by one, the lanterns begin to go out. The windows go dark, the streets empty. Venice, ancient and patient, settles into sleep, and the friends, small and soft and full of love, do the same. Chapter 10, Closing Sleep Section. The bells quiet, the friends rest, and you are held. It is time now. Time to let go of the day. Time to let go of the story. Time to rest. The friends have returned to their small apartment, to their small beds lined up side by side in a room painted the softest blue. The beds are simple, wooden frames, worn smooth by time, piled high with blankets and quilts and pillows that smell faintly of lavender. Peach climbs into her bed first, pulling the blankets up to her chin, settling her head into the pillow with a small sigh of contentment. Biscuit is next, yawning widely, his golden body sinking into the mattress as if it is welcoming him home. Mittens curls up in her bed, her tail wrapping around her like a question mark, her eyes already half closed. And Sunny, the smallest, flutters up into her bed and tucks herself beneath a quilt, stitched with tiny yellow stars. The window is open, just a little, and through it comes the softest breeze, carrying the smell of the lagoon, the sound of water moving gently against stone. The room is dark, but not completely. A single candle burns on the windowsill, its flame small and steady, casting a warm glow that reaches just far enough to touch each of the beds. The friends are silent now, their breathing slowing, their bodies relaxing, their minds drifting. And outside, Venice is silent too. The bells have stopped ringing. The boats have been tied for the night. The streets are empty. The city is asleep. But the water is still there, always there, lapping softly, endlessly, a sound so constant it becomes part of the silence, part of the stillness, part of the peace. Peach closes her eyes and lets herself sink deeper into the bed, deeper into the pillows, deeper into the quiet. She thinks about the bells, about the way they sounded today, after the wraps were added, warmer, rounder, kinder. She thinks about the tortoise bell ringer and the way his eyes filled with gratitude. She thinks about the doves in the square and the masks in the shop and the hot chocolate at Cafe Florian. She thinks about the gondola ride, the way the water held them, the way the city opened itself to them like a secret. And she feels, deep in her small crocheted heart, a sense of completion, of rightness. They did what they came to do. They helped, and that is enough. Her breathing slows, her thoughts drift, and she sleeps. Biscuit feels the weight of the blankets on his body, warm and heavy and comforting. He feels the softness of the pillow beneath his head. He feels the breeze moving across his face, cool and gentle. He thinks about the ropes, wrapped now in gold, in cream, in blue. He thinks about the care they put into each stitch, each row, each wrap. He thinks about the city, ancient, patient, kind, and the way it holds everyone who comes to it, the way it makes space for love, for art, for quiet. He thinks about his friends, sleeping beside him, and he feels grateful, so grateful, for them, for this place, for this moment. His breathing slows, his thoughts drift, and he sleeps. Mittens curls tighter into herself, her body small and warm beneath the blankets. She feels safe. She feels held. She thinks about the bookshop and the poems about the sea and the way words can carry you somewhere even when your body stays still. She thinks about the bells and the way sound moves through the world, touching everything, changing everything, even when you cannot see it. She thinks about the fox in the mask shop and the way she said that masks help you show the world who you truly are. And she wonders, just for a moment, if that is true for everyone. If maybe, beneath everything, we are all wearing masks. Or maybe we are all, always, trying to take them off. Her breathing slows, her thoughts drift, and she sleeps. Sunny tucked beneath her quilt of stars, feels the softest flutter of happiness in her chest. She loves this place. She loves these friends. She loves the way the day unfolded, gently, without rush, without fear. She thinks about the shells she collected, and she decides that tomorrow she will give them to the tortoise bell ringer as a thank you. She thinks about the striped wrap she made, and how it looked like the sunrise, and how maybe that is the best thing you can give to someone. A reminder that the sun always rises, that light always comes, that hope is not something you have to earn, but something that simply is. Her breathing slows, her thoughts drift, and she sleeps. The candle on the windowsill burns lower. The breeze moves through the room, soft as a sigh. Outside, the water continues its endless lapping. The city breathes, the bells rest, and the friends, small and soft and deeply loved, sleep. And now, you who have been listening, you who have been held by this story, by these words, by the rhythm of the bells and the water and the quiet, it is time for you to rest too. You do not need to hold on to anything. You do not need to remember what comes next or what came before. You are here. You are safe. You are held. Imagine, if you can, that you are lying in a small bed in Venice, in a room painted the softest blue, with a window open to the night. Imagine that you can hear the water, lapping gently, endlessly, a sound that has no beginning and no end. Imagine that you can feel the breeze moving across your face, cool and kind. Imagine that somewhere high above, the bells are resting, wrapped in softness, waiting for the morning but content, for now, to simply be. You do not need to do anything. You do not need to go anywhere. You are exactly where you are, meant to be. Breathe if you can, slowly, deeply, in like the tide rising, out like the tide falling, again and again. Let your body sink into wherever you are resting. Let your muscles relax. Let your mind drift. There is nothing to solve, nothing to fix, nothing to worry about. The bells have been cared for. The city is asleep, and you too can sleep. The story is over now, but the feeling remains. The feeling of being held, of being safe, of being loved, and that feeling will stay with you through the night, through your dreams, through the soft, endless hours of rest. The bells of San Marco are quiet now, but they will ring again in the morning, and when they do, they will ring a little warmer, a little kinder, because someone cared enough to help, just as you are cared for, just as you are held, just as you are loved. Sleep now, sleep deeply, sleep gently, and let the bells and the water and the city and the stars watch over you. Good night. The end.